It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Willy Daunic and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. At least for the moment, the weather's pretty darn good. Mid-60s. Trust me when I tell you that is all about to change. And by tomorrow at this time, you might see a snow flurry. How about that? Let's call roll. Let's check in first with Coach Watson Brown, who joins us from up on the plateau. Watson, I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to sort of blurt it out. College Basketball Insiders at 2:20, and I have observed that Lee Fowler, who I think his technological skills are right there with mine, he's already ready, but I think he had a lot of assistance.
We know he had a lot of assistance last week, and Lee doesn't learn real quick, so I would say he needed the assistance for a second week in a row, yes. Mm-hmm. Probably about the time we finish with the Insiders later in the spring, he'll have it down.
We're already ripping Lee, and he's not even on
Well,
yet.
hold on a second.
Not
Let's
even here
find
to
out.
defend himself.
Yeah, hold on.
Goodness.
We'll find out a couple of things here. Watson, the two of you were in school together, same time, right?
The way Lee explained it, yes, I'm older than Lee. I'm sorry to say. But I think Lee said he visited the weekend that we beat Alabama was his official visit as a basketball player. And the weekend we beat Alabama in football was when he visited.
Yeah.
He and Mac came in, I think, in the same year. I believe he's Mac's class. I think they came in at the same time together, 1 year behind me. So that puts Lee in the 70s. He can't brag too much about being younger than me.
Was he a brilliant student?
Lee?
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't know because I wasn't in class enough to observe if he was a brilliant student.
Yeah.
So he made it. He's kind of like you and I, George. We don't discuss how we made it.
No, we don't.
But we did get out. There is a degree hanging somewhere that says Vanderbilt on it. I think Brenda's got it in the bathroom somewhere now, but there is a degree proving that I did get one. I will say that when I crossed the stage in the spring, I did open it to make sure there was one in there.
Yeah. My mom did the same thing.
And I'm not making that up. I opened it. There was one class I was still a little nervous about. And they said to us, if there's not a degree in there, then you didn't get it. They didn't tell you before you went across the stage. So it was kind of high drama with me.
Oh, listen, I was right there with you.
Were you?
Well, except I had found out a few days earlier that all was going to be well in that one particular class, Hablo Español. I could say that, but when we got into what were called pluperfects, hablamos. When we got to hablamos, I was habamos dead.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yes.
But when I crossed the stage, I had a pretty wife that had been married to me just a couple of months. And if that hadn't been there, that might have been the quickest divorce you've ever seen in your life.
A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure on that one.
I believe it. Let's check in with Billy, who is, of course, behind the table next to Turner Field. Were you a brilliant student?
I would not say brilliant, George. I did enough to get by. That's what I
learned that at Father Ryan?
I did.
You
know, they don't teach you that at BGA.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, they do. Oh, yeah, they teach it well. I mean, there's one sitting there that can prove it.
Yes. Yes, and let's find out about young Michael Cindric. For those of you who did not see the show yesterday, there actually is a human being behind these stats that we put out every day right around 3:00. Were you a brilliant student?
I was okay. Enough to not get fired the first day of work yesterday. So that's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Looks like you're having to sort of.
I'm back for
why
day
are
two.
you?
I don't know. I don't want to.
Hold on.
I feel like there's a
Hold on.
space here. I don't want to.
No, I want to give you. I want to give you a little broadcast tip. Just stay there, and let's see. Talk into the mic.
Can you hear me?
Lean to it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when
Billy over there can fix all this stuff.
Billy's the magician back there.
Well, he's a whiz.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Billy, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to stay right here.
Okay, you can trust me, Michael. George does that every day with the show.
Yeah, sure I do.
All right, we ready for the update?
We'll do the update when I'm ready. You just relax back there, like Aaron Rodgers told the fans. Relax. All is well. Remain calm. Let's do the update.
See how that works.
Let's do the update.
Okay, George is telling me we're ready for the update. So
sure. Looky there. Look at the 3 little screen jobbies.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
The 3 Stooges. Okay.
No.
Here we go. George, Atlanta is going to host a potential Buffalo and Cincinnati AFC title. The NFL announced today that'll be the neutral site. That'll be a 5:30 kickoff time on Sunday, January 29th. And before the season even started, the NFL had made Atlanta a possible backup site for the postseason games for Buffalo and Cincinnati, or if this situation came about, all other AFC championship games will take place at the home stadium of the higher seed. So Atlanta.
Okay, couple of thoughts here. Watson, help me with this. This is exactly the reason our city wants to build a dome, correct?
Yeah.
This kind of
along
thing.
with all kind of events. Absolutely. It's not for sure just the Titan games. I can tell you that. There's a lot more that comes with that.
Do you believe for 1 minute a 55 to 60,000 seat dome gets that game?
Yeah.
I don't.
I think so. You don't?
No.
Yeah, I do. Just because of all that goes with it, it's going to be beautiful. And now, George, they don't care as much about the fan. They don't make their money off of fans. They make their money off of
Let's say that correctly. They don't care at all about the fan.
No, I don't. And I think the whole NFL is getting that way. It's just like college football is getting that way. They don't. It's not the tickets that you sell. It's the money you're making everywhere else. And it's all those skyboxes that's going to be in that thing with all that money, or those people in those skyboxes, is more money that's in those than the stands. That the price of ticket they paid for. So That's why I think in the future you're going to see them all start to come down, because the fan now watches it on television instead of going to the game. So it's the norm instead of the exception. I'll bet you none of the ones that are built in the future are going to go up in numbers. They'll go down in numbers.
Okay. You remember you heard this.
Okay.
If that game happens, my intention is to be there.
The Super Bowl?
No. Bills KC.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
Really? You going?
He booked it before the show.
That was a private moment.
Oh.
That was not for public consumption. Let's just say that I would have an interest in going.
Well, I would too, but I won't go, but I'd have an interest in it.
Well, Watson, the fact that he said book it makes it about a 25% chance it happens.
No, You're too high.
Well,
his buckets are not 25%. That is too high.
Way too generous.
Wow.
Yeah,
you know why I think
I put it down in the 10% mode.
That's fair.
You know why I think I'll get in?
You're getting tickets from somebody if you get in somehow.
I'm going to tell them I know Lee Fowler,
there
the
you
former
go.
chairman of the NCAA men's selection committee.
That will work.
Oh, there's no question it will.
Yeah.
Don't think I wouldn't.
Oh, well, you in a heartbeat.
Item number 2.
Item number 2, George, more NFL news. Kevin Warren, the former Big Ten commissioner, is headed to Chicago. He's going to replace Ted Phillips as their next president and CEO. He's been with the Big Ten since 2019, but he recently was not given a contract extension by the conference. Maybe that played into it. He's got NFL experience.
Maybe that played into it.
Maybe, who knows? he's got NFL experience with the Rams, Lions, and Vikings, where he worked from 2005 to 2019. So he's been in the NFL longer than I think most people think.
So, Watson, what do you make of this? Is this that his early stumbles did not get overshadowed by him getting UCLA and USC?
Evidently not, even though I think he's getting the better job of the two. I wouldn't want one of those commissioner jobs right now, George. Man, they're awful. You just sticking your hand out to everybody, and I couldn't handle that very good. That wouldn't be me. I like the guy. I do. I think he handles himself well. Yeah, I'm not sure he made some early decisions that were good, but I really like him. I think it's a good hire in Chicago. I do. I think that's a very good hire. And we'll see what goes down. But honestly, I'm not sure he's not getting the better of the two jobs.
You know, I bet, first of all, I have not heard any names rumored, but I'll bet you that Lee Fowler will toss a name that will be high up in consideration.
We shall see.
You're putting pressure on Lee. He's got about 5 minutes to think about who that might be. So
well,
you at least gave him a head start.
Yeah.
George, next piece here. Derek Carr back in the news. He has said goodbye to the Las Vegas Raiders, ending a 9-year tenure with the franchise. He wrote on Twitter this morning saying, "It breaks my heart I didn't get an opportunity to say goodbye in person." He had signed a 3-year deal with Vegas, but that deal allowed the Raiders to cut him within 3 days of the Super Bowl with only a $5 million cap hit.
Okay, but wait a minute. Michael, did he not make the decision to bolt when they benched him?
Yeah, that whole thing was kind of confusing because what was it? He distanced himself from the team or said, "I'm taking kind of a leave," or whatever that was. So yeah, that's confusing. It's hard to, it's kind of like actions weren't backed up by what he was saying.
Yeah, it didn't break his heart to do that. I mean, look, I like Derek Carr.
I think he's still got football in him.
I think he does too. Now Watson is really down on him.
Big Derek Carr.
I didn't say that.
If you're Derek Carr, who do
you have not exactly acted like his agent.
Well, I haven't. I've said, you asked me, you turn everything into one thing. You asked me, would you bring him to the Titans over Tannehill? And I said, no, I would not. I know what I got with the Titans.
Do you feel
and
like
I said that more in Tannehill's favor than I did Derek Carr's. That's not fair when you say that.
Okay.
Watson, if you're the Jets, is he somebody that you're giving a call to immediately?
He's better than what they got.
No doubt.
I'm better than what they've got.
There's places he could go that I would think that I would take him. Yep. But the Titans honestly, I wouldn't put one with the Titans unless it's Aaron Rodgers. That's the only one out there that I think is good enough to make a big change in this team is Aaron Rodgers.
Let me ask one more. Is
not Miami, Tom Brady, of course, but he ain't coming here.
Is Miami a candidate in the offseason for Derek Carr?
Depends on Tua.
Yeah,
exactly. I think they like Tua a lot, but now they got to just decide whether he can physically ever do it again. I mean, right. I don't think they're ready to get rid of Tua. I think they're having to worry about, do we have to let Tua go?
Yeah.
I don't think they're down on Tua whatsoever, other than he just keeps getting hurt.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Miami, there's a similar situation going on in Denver with Russell Wilson. What do they want to do with him? Is he going to continue playing football? And Denver, they're going to have a new head coach. And an option is David Shaw out there. He has interviewed with Denver. He spent 9 years in the NFL from 97 to 2005 with Philadelphia and then Oakland and Baltimore. So he's been in the NFL. And we know he doesn't want to be in college. He basically said, I don't want to deal with the NIL and transfer portal anymore. So is David Shaw an option at Denver?
He'd be a darn good choice. Watson, I'm impressed. I guess the shirt today is a Denver Broncos shirt because we know about at least 3 candidates that they've interviewed: Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and David Shaw. That's a pretty good list.
Yeah, David would be a chance. He would be a chance to me. He's leveled out at Stanford. If they didn't just love him as David Shaw is a great guy and a great fit for Stanford and all that, they might have got him before he left himself. David has fallen off. So I'm not sure that's the hot item that he would have been 5 years ago, George, in my opinion. I think right now, with all the mistakes Denver's made, they do not need to go the college route unless that college guy's been an NFL head coach, Harbaugh being that guy. I just wouldn't do that. They cannot make another mistake, in my opinion. They need to get a proven guy, and that franchise is good enough to get a proven guy. It's one of the top franchises in the NFL. And they just don't need to go that route. They don't. They got to get a proven guy there.
Okay, after the break, we'll get into college basketball. And guess what? We're going to start in Lexington. Lee Fowler, Ron Bargatze, the college basketball insiders are front and center stage, and they are next.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donley have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to donleytimmons.com.
Oh, the college basketball insiders are ready, so let's waste no time. Let's start with Lee Fowler, former head of the NCAA Men's Selection Committee, former athletic director at NC State, but most importantly, my color announcer at Memphis State. Lee, how are you?
Doing great. Watching you guys doing all right?
Great, Lee. Good to see you, man. You look good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The lighting's a little better here at my daughter's house than it is at my house.
So you venue.
Right. And I was, one of the things I wondered about, I saw the commercial while y'all were on break. Watching, you and I have bowled twice in George's fundraiser. No picture of you and I in the commercial, of course. You brought the celebs out that came to the second year after everything was such a big success. They all showed up, and now they get their picture on the head. It's questionable.
Lee, I've never noticed that, but That just moved up the radar on my screen. I don't like that either.
Well,
we both have bigger egos than that, and we need to be nursed.
That's right, no question about it.
And we'll get that fixed. I'll go work on that and see what we can do about that.
I have a picture of both of you. Shame on both of you for.
Well, they're not on the screen. He's right. He's
I've
right.
got 500 pictures from the event, and I picked out one.
They just want to see priorities. That's all they want to see.
Right. You stay.
He uses us, Lee. He uses us. He puts us on here. He pays neither one of us nothing. And then he won't even put our picture on a screen. I mean, if we don't give him 2 hours or 40 minutes, whatever you give him, we get nothing out of this.
I know it. It's questionable, but it's a kind of a George Plaster. I mean, it's all you can say.
You've been hanging around Wimp Sanderson too long.
That's right. There's no question about that.
That was your daughter that assisted today, correct?
My daughter and Carol's here for backup, so I've got the whole gang here. Can we go off air? We'll be right back.
I love it. Now, we have different issues with Coach Ron Bargatze. He's on by phone on his way to a very important executive meeting. Coach B, how are you?
I'm doing great, George. How are you?
Where exactly are you right now?
Well, we are starting a trek down to I-40 to White Bluff and Dixon.
Well, it doesn't get any more important than that.
No,
but we're going to get into the important issue of the day, and that is once you get to the Kentucky border, right past mile marker 121 past Springfield, once you get into that state, all hell is broken loose. That state is in a complete state of apoplexy right now over their beloved Kentucky Wildcats. Coach B, I want to start with you because you've been in Rupp Arena a lot of times. I have been. Lee's been. There is no fan base that will wear on you worse if it's not going well than that bunch right there. What do you think internally is going on?
Obviously, it's nothing that the Blue fans like, and I can't imagine being 1-3 in the SEC and having a home loss against South Carolina, which Tennessee took to the woodshed right before that.
So, do you think it is a certain talent level, or are there internal issues? I think there are internal issues. Do you?
Well, I want you to find a basketball program now in the world college basketball is in, with the transfer portal and the NIL in effect, and people transferring day after day. I think you're going to see this sort of thing happen in a lot of places. No accountability, and it's what have you done for me lately? So I'm not surprised at all, and I think other schools are going to follow suit.
Lee, I want to hear your theory. You've watched them a lot in the last few weeks. What in the world is going on?
Well, they're not a very well-oiled machine, George. You know, their talent level is pretty good, but that doesn't always mean that you go out and play well together. And so they definitely play like a team that's not on the same page. Different interests in who should be good and who shouldn't. And the talent level just doesn't look like, to me, that it's where it's been every year in the past. So they've got some issues, and it's not like they're just not playing hard. They're playing hard. They're just not doing the same things together. So I think it's going to be a struggle for a while. I just don't think it's going to be something that 3 or 4 good practices is going to change.
I don't know if either one of you saw the Alabama game. I thought in the first half when he benched Sheboy that he did it with the purpose of trying to get a message through to him, which then led me in my cynical, warped way to say, Sheboy's making 1.2, 1.3. Who knows if the others are getting that kind of money? Is there a jealousy factor? Coach B, I'll go back to you. Did you see it, and did you think the same thing I did?
Well, I saw it, but that never really crossed my mind. I thought, you bench guys sometimes just to send a message to everyone. And if Oscar has a message sent to him, it ought to transfer right into the other players. So not surprised.
So, Lee, you know where all this is headed. You got a job out there right now that he gets rumored for, and it's not as good a job as Kentucky. Texas is a nice job. I don't consider it, one of the basketball hotbeds of our country. But is it possible that Texas picks up a phone and says, have you gotten tired of all the scrutiny there, and would you be interested? What do you think happens?
Well, I think Texas is a good enough job that he can use it to either make the level-headed people in Kentucky say, hey, we don't want to lose him, and he can make that job look like one that he might go to. And these coaches have gotten really good at trying to make sure that whether they really want to go to another job, sometimes in a down year, they'll make it seem like they might, and then people say, hey, wait a second, we don't need to get crazy here. We'll get top recruiting class next year, and we'll be a different team next year if he's here. So sometimes I think they use it just for their advantage in their present situation. I know that when I tried to sign him at NC State, he used it for a $500,000 raise, which today is not very much. That's a month's salary nowadays, but 12, 15 years ago, that was a lot of money to get a raise out of Memphis for $500,000. So it don't always, especially the early things that come out, always seemed to me was something that the coach was, or his agent was putting out there to have an influence.
Watson, you're listening to all this. You've been up to Lexington a few times. This is tough stuff right now.
No, but I think this is going to be the rule, not the exception. This NIL transfer portal stuff. I guess all of you two guys saw today where a quarterback at the University of Florida that just signed, just enrolled, leaves within days and is already wanting to release and transfer out. And it was all over money issues that he was promised that he's not getting. This thing is getting way out of hand. And Ronnie said exactly what's been bothering me. And I've called a lot of my buddies in the last month and asked them about all this and how are you handling it? And I'm afraid the team aspect, guys, is about gone. And it's individual. And coaches are struggling getting discipline within them, getting them to do what they want them to do. The guy on the bench is already thinking about where he's going, and he doesn't care about Kentucky at that point. I'm asking these coaches about preparing his team, and they're all saying we're all having to back off of our stuff and do a lot less because this is a new team that's never been together before. There's all kind of stuff going on, and I think the fan better understand it. And I'll get on the fans a little bit because I really like Coach Cal and what he said, guys, the other day after the South Carolina loss. He said, hey, y'all got every right to get on me and this team right now. I thought it was a great statement. I think Cal believes it. But the fan better understand you're not getting to coach the way you've coached in the past, and everything isn't going to be the same. You better be a little more patient and give this team time to come on because I've noticed, guys, the play isn't near as consistent as I've seen it in years past. I saw it in football this year, the inconsistent of week to week. I'm sure seeing it in basketball right now. And you got a brand new team every year. It takes a while. I just think everybody better calm down. And if they run Cal out of there, I think the University of Kentucky's crazy. Lee, you go with it, and then Ronnie follow that. But I'm pretty uptight about all this right now, to be very honest.
I agree with everything he said. I think that it's a different ball game, and maybe it's unfortunate for coaches that are making $10 million that it is a different ball game.
Yeah,
but
it is for me and you too, buddy, and Ronnie.
Yeah, they're having to learn. Yeah, they got to learn on the fly, so to speak. And so therefore, it's changed. I thought, last time we were on a week or so ago, the teams don't look the same at this point in the season. Most of the time, these teams level out and everybody's showing what they can do. And now, there's some taking dips or some that look great early that can't throw it in the ocean now, can't play together. So there's no question there's a lot more to it than there was before when you could put your thumb on them and keep them. Nowadays, as Watson made a great statement, guys on the bench are already looking at where they're going next year. They got their calendars out and figured out when the first day I can announce and where I'm going. So it is a tougher game. Cal does a great job recruiting. My wife, after meeting him 10, 15 years ago, said he could sell ice cream to Eskimos. So, I mean, he's a guy that's always going to have good talent. He's never been a great coach. He's always had really good teams and have a chance to reach the Final Four because their talent level is so high. I don't think that's going to change in this environment. And Kentucky is a great place to be able to do that. But, I know, ask Tubby Smith, who I just played golf with a couple weeks ago, you lose one or two there and they want to get rid of you. So it's not an easy place, but they pay enough where it probably shouldn't be an easy place.
What you got, Ronnie?
Well, Watson, you may have seen where the University of Washington signed a highly rated quarterback, and now he wants to get out of his letter of intent. So you add the letter of intent. It's going to be interesting to see how that's handled and what kind of leeway they'll give him. But when we were at Austin Peay coaching together, Watson, I know I was making $25,000 and you were making $2.5 million, and it wasn't a level playing field.
Big boy, put my salary right beside yours.
That's not what he said.
That's not what he said, but you can put mine right beside his. I can tell you what I was making. I'll never forget Ronnie and I were driving down the road when he first got there. We're driving by this big old house, and I said, Ronnie, how in the world does this guy afford to buy this? And he said, well, he can't now because he put it all in the house. I've never forgotten that statement when he said that. But to say the least, we weren't making killings. But it was fun being with Coach B. I'm telling you that. It was a lot of fun.
So let me try this on both of you before we go to the break. What is their talent level capable of? Is that a Sweet 16 level of talent? Is it a Final Four? Is it NIT? Coach B, I'm confused because they kind of sleptwalked through a lot of the preseason, didn't look all that excited about any of it. What is Kentucky?
Well, I'm going to be really surprised if they don't bounce back pretty strongly. They've got enough talent to do that, and their back is against the wall. They don't want to be that Kentucky team that finishes in the bottom half of the SEC, and the sheep boy in there, unless he gets hurt, I think they'll figure out a way to get the ball distributed around and motivate the players where they become a much better team.
Lee, what level are they?
I think they're going to be the type team that may have a struggle to get to the tournament unless they win some games late and play well in the SEC tournament. I'm like Ryan; they got enough ability, but that doesn't always make you win. But I think that if they don't snap back at 1-3 and losing to South Carolina, they go to Tennessee Saturday. That's not a snap back game. So it could be 1-4 and the rest. They got Alabama still twice. I mean, it's not an easy road back from 1-3.
Okay, we'll go to the break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Alabama. They looked like a national title contender last night in steamrolling Arkansas. Stick around. These are the College Basketball Insiders.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
You know, it's been several years since this program has beaten Tennessee. What needs to happen to kind of get back to the same level, you know, that Tennessee is at?
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Well, I'd suggest in the future you figure it out. It's now been 7 in a row that Jerry Stackhouse has lost to Tennessee. The average margin has been in the 12, 13-point range for those 7 losses. Coach B, are we just supposed to sit there and be okay with that?
But George, we've seen Vanderbilt basketball that would not put up with anything that's mediocre or worse. And so, you know, we mentioned the word accountability a while ago. And, you know, the fan base is not as demanding or nearly as big as it was in many years in the past. So I don't know. That's an interesting take on the rivalry situation.
There is no rivalry anymore.
Well, we've heard that in Vanderbilt and Tennessee football for a long time, and maybe the sports have switched places now.
I don't know. I mean, I'm perplexed. Number one, he's been able to, part of what has helped him to not deal with any of this is the fans don't give a damn anymore. There's a level of apathy around this program that you and I have never seen before. And I'm amazed that he couldn't come up with an answer that says, listen, we know we've got to get out and recruit. We know we've got to get better players. We know that there is a gap between where we are and where they are. He couldn't come up with that?
It's all about winning and losing, you know, and being competitive. And we know that, you know, Vandy's got the type team who can hang in with a lot of teams without a lot of talent. So whether or not they can get to that level or not, I don't know, because Tennessee and Alabama right now, I know it's very early in the conference race, but at 4-0, they both are off to a great start. And I thought Arkansas was going to be a lot better. They lost a very good player. They've kind of got a wild west situation in Arkansas, and I don't see many teams in the middle of the pack that can make that big move forward.
Lee, I know you see this a little bit differently than I do. I need some hope.
Well, I understand the fans' frustrations because, the other night I thought they played really well. They played well at Missouri, had a chance late, and didn't get over the hump. And even I actually was in Chicago at the NC State game and Vanderbilt. And, when it gets right down to the time you've got to make a play or not shoot a quick shot, the guys don't seem to know or hadn't come together as a team on what they need to do. Every team has to get there. This team hadn't gotten there yet. They're getting better, and they're much more competitive than I think they were a year or 2 years ago. But as Ronnie said, you got to win some games, and Tennessee is a rivalry. I think Rick Barnes does a great job, but that doesn't mean I have to like it that he does a good job. He's my biggest opponent was Tennessee and Kentucky when I played there 50 years ago. And I think most Vandy fans that love Vandy are not big Orange fans. So, but I can respect the job he's done and how good a team he has. But I think I hadn't seen that till just then. I'm sure he's frustrated after the game. He probably felt like they had a chance during the game to win the game, and so he probably doesn't feel like it's as far away as the fans do. But you look back at 7 in a row, and I think it's been 10 in a row. I think to Tennessee, but some of them weren't his, of course. So it's definitely been going in the wrong direction.
Lee, Coach B, George had to step out for a second, but just a quick question for both of you guys. I mean, obviously you got to have some players. It doesn't matter, what the saying, Jimmys and Joes and not just X's and O's. Obviously there's a bunch of good coaches in the SEC. You've got Calipari, Oates, Rick Barnes. What kind of pull recruiting wise does Jerry Stackhouse have? You would think that it would be pretty big. He'd get some guys in the building. But watching him last night, I mean, it didn't seem like there's a clear cut starting 5 of who's really the guys there. What kind of pull do you think he's got on the SEC recruiting wise?
Ronnie, you want to take that first?
Yeah, take it, Lee. I'll come back and tell him the truth after you say what you're going to say.
Well, I think that he's got to get better players. More on that team, they'd be really good. They have shooters, but unfortunately, sticking those guys they match up with, he's not getting wide open shots, which he needs to score. So there's no question the talent level needs to go up. Robbins is playing good to win the SEC. You've got some guys that can play. I like their young guys, but unfortunately, you got to have what we used to call a man, and we don't have a man who can go out and get you 20, 25 every night. And that's what he's got to get, or Vanderbilt has to get. And I think we need a guy like him. We need a guy like he was as a player, and that makes a huge difference. Most of the teams in the SEC have that, and those guys are hard to replace. And if you don't have one, it's tough to be very successful at the highest level in SEC.
Hey, Lee, one thing I wanted to mention that I thought in some of the games they've been close and down the stretch. I think the shot selection may go downhill a little bit. I thought Studi took a couple of bad shots and, rushed them. Lawrence can be really pretty good sometime. And he's proven that he can make free throws down the stretch and that sort of thing. But just having some leadership on the court does not seem like they have that much in the backcourt when they get into a tight game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ronnie. I think that down the stretch, they've made some bad decisions, decisions that you can make in the first half, aren't the going to make in the game. You got to try to get it, as Ronnie well knows, and good teams really develop that. And I don't think this team has developed who needs to shoot it, when they need to shoot it, and where they need to go. He runs really good stuff. I think the stuff he gets wide open looks, but I think sometimes the wrong guys are taking shots late in the game, and that's not a recipe to win games.
So, I remember, Coach B, the big debate about Jan Van Bredikoff was at the end of the 5th and the 6th year that he had only been to the NCAA tournament one time, and ultimately Jan got replaced by Kevin Stallings. I personally, first of all, I do think Stackhouse can coach some. I think he's a complete zero as far as his connectivity level to the fan base, and they have shown their level of disinterest in him and are showing up in numbers we've never seen so low at Memorial Gym. But I think he's getting a free pass on the fact that in year 4, they're not one bit closer to getting to an NCAA tournament than he was when he first got here.
Well, I'm not sure about that, George. I think they're better than they've been since. And you got to understand, everybody's been through COVID, but he also went through that. Now, whether that's an excuse or not, but it definitely was different. He was in his first college job, and he was learning during that time. So I give him a little bit more time than most people who've been in the business. And so there's been a lot of change going on. And I like Jerry. I think he's a great guy. I think he really cares about winning. But he's got to get a little better players. I mean, the guys are good guys. They're great to be around, but you also got to have guys that can score late in the game and win basketball games. And that's what he's missing. And unfortunately, you can coach all you want to, but you can't get a guy that can score like, say, Miller from Alabama, that can go out there and get you points. And you need that. And unfortunately, that's not been the case. I think the talent level overall is much better than it was 2 years ago, but we still don't have that one guy or two guys that can really go out and get you points and get you rebounds.
Lee and Ronnie, you mentioned, I think a few weeks ago, the fact that Scottie Pippen's not there anymore, and, replacing him was going to be tough. But as a point guard that doesn't shoot, I mean, their point guard, Magnon, doesn't shoot the ball. How tough is that for a coach when you've got a point guard that, doesn't shoot the ball and is incapable of shooting the 3 ball? How much of a hindrance does that put on you as a coach offensively?
Well, I never have cared for score first point guards. I think point guards are at their best when they can get the big basket or get to the free throw line late and make them. But Magnon, is that the way you pronounce it? Magnon?
Yeah, Magnon.
Magnon, yeah, he's a slasher, and I like some things about him. He doesn't appear to be a guy that gets the ball and runs the team. The quarterback of the team has got to be pretty well defined, and he's got to be able to decide if he's going to try to take it in the lane, draw the foul, or kick it off to another player. So, in a guy like Stute, you have a guy that can get 15 points and a half if he gets hot and has good shot selection. But that point guard has got to run the show for him, and there are times that's lacking. And I think Robbins is plenty good. I really like him as a player, and I think the team is just the parts a little bit out of place. And of course, every coach knows that's what they've got to do to be successful, and is get the pieces, together and have the kind of balance you need. They are playing an awful lot of players. They can have 10 or 11 guys who can get a lot of minutes, and it's been a tough year for Wright too. He hasn't been quite the player we thought he might be as a senior. And I know he's had some injury problems.
Question for Lee. Lee, you kind of I don't want to say stuck up for Stackhouse in a way, but you just talked about some of the realistic struggles of COVID and coming into a job like Vanderbilt 4 years ago. What do you want to see? And if let's say you're the Vanderbilt athletic director, and you see the situation as it is, what is kind of the timeline for, listen, we should be, it's year 4, by this time, by year 5, year 6, this is where we should be. Is the expectation NIT by the end of next year? Because I think they have gotten a little bit better, but ultimately you want to see this team playing in the NIT at least, or in March. So you're the athletic director and you're the one calling the shots that can kind of determine the barriers for success. What would that be for you?
Well, if I was AD right now, I would hopefully this recruiting class is going to be a make or break for Jerry. You got to get guys that could come in and help you and play, and or either a transfer or two that can. And I think it's really important to show that you can get the NCAA tournament the next year, at 2 at the most. You give them a little bit of slack because of the COVID and that sort of stuff. But other than that, I mean, it's time to start moving towards being an NCAA team. NIT team is good if you don't make the NCAA, but everybody's trying to get in the NCAA. And in this league, that means getting 5 or 6 deep in the league, sometimes maybe 7 or 8. So it's very important for every team, and Jerry's no different, to get moving that sphere, and not two issues 1 and 2, but you're going to have to win some games like Arkansas Saturday and some games that you're not expected to win, and then your kids believe, and then all of a sudden you think we're better. And I think they've played better than they have in the past. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a definite you got to do this or you're gone, but you got to be moving in that direction and everybody feeling like you're moving in that direction.
I know you talked about, seeing some improvement and seeing that they have improved over the last 4 years, but I'm not saying Vanderbilt's got to win the conference, but when you look at Alabama getting a lot better, Arkansas, and even Georgia having a better year, Kentucky, Tennessee, do you feel like the gap is still so big between those schools and Vanderbilt, or do you see it at all? I'm not saying Vanderbilt even has to be in the top 3, but do you see them being able to compete for the 5th or 6th best spot in the SEC to where they could sneak in the tournament in the next couple of years?
Well, I think, as I said, I think you have to. And one good player, really good player, that everybody has to pay attention to could get you there. I think these young guys are going to be really good players. I think that's very important, but you're going to lose Robbins. You're going to lose a couple of guys that have been mainstays for you. So, it's all about recruiting and who you get. And it's really at this point about recruiting and who he's going to have playing for him the next couple of years. Is very important to seeing that happen. And, it's not, as you made a statement, you're a youngster. You and George look a lot alike with your dark hair and everything there on the screen. But anyway,
nice.
I think it's very important that he sees a difference in his ability as far as players coming in. And I think that's something that's very important. I know they're working hard on the road. As everybody knows, Vanderbilt doesn't get the same players in that some schools can get in. So that's also a detriment, but it's, they've been successful many years to be able to get into the tournament. Winning the conference is not something a Vanderbilt team's done very often, I think 3 times in the history of the school. So it's all about competing in the top 5 or 6 in the league. It's where you got to get your program. And, there were 6 changes last year. So there are other guys that are just starting that process out. So you hope that you move ahead, guys, just getting those programs, and you've got to jump on them. So hopefully that happens. And I know Jerry feels that way. And I think he's very frustrated. And he looked frustrated by that question, but I'm sure, he's frustrated by the loss and feeling like they had a chance.
He can get frustrated all he wants. It's a fair question.
It's
time. And the fact that he doesn't have an answer and can't even put a sentence or two together, I don't know. I'm just absolutely dumbfounded. When that got sent to me, I was like, are you kidding me? He can't even answer the question.
That was after Tennessee in Knoxville, or what was it?
It was Tuesday night after it's the post game at Thompson Bowling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, listen, first of all, Coach B, I know you're somewhere where you need to be, and I appreciate your doing this. Lee, as always, appreciate your doing this.
Hey, I'll answer a question you didn't ask me. I think the guy at the ACC will have a chance to get the Big Ten commissioner's job. Phillips.
Really?
Well, he came from Northwestern, remember? He's a Big Ten guy. And so that's, be hard. It's hard for him to make that, to be open about that, but I think that could very easily happen since he knows a lot about 2 leagues now, and one of them is the one he was in for many, many years.
Watson, he had an answer, didn't he?
Yeah. Good job, Lee.
Love it.
Attaboy.
That's right. All right, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. Look forward to next time.
Absolutely. Coach B, you behave.
Sure will. Thank you.
Stay tuned. Stat of the day is coming up next. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Pennington Distilling Company was founded in 2011 with the goal of creating original craft spirits that embody the same character as the city they were born in, Nashville, Tennessee. From grain to glass, every step is taken to produce spirits of exceptional craftsmanship and quality. Pick up one of their award-winning products like Pickers Vodka, Davidson Reserve Whiskey, and Whisper Creek Tennessee Sip and Cream today. Or stop by the distillery in West Nashville and the Nations. Follow them on social media and online at PenningtonDistillingCo.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. College basketball insiders wrapped up. We got stat of the day coming up. We got a little bit of a cold streak going on. We'll see if they can get back into a rhythm. It's brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in the beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee, 204 East Depot Street. Tuesday, George is laughing still. Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5. Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. Again, that's 931-492-4304.
Watson, do you think he would do one bit better than we have?
Probably.
Now hold on. I'm sure if Jerry Stackhouse is watching this, he'd probably say the exact same thing that you just said. Do you think George Plaster could coach Vandy better than I can? All Billy did there was some accountability. That stat of the day and bet of the day.
I was just stating a fact. It's been a little cold streak here as of late.
Listen, if we're gonna be the George Plaster Show, we expect excellence.
Yeah, look, you've been here 2 days.
Well, I'm just
pipe down.
All right.
Wow.
Let's get to it.
Watson, there's a lack of respect from these two.
Old age, babe. We can't do nothing no more. We're a bunch of old fogies. And
yeah, I know.
Got no answers. Don't know anything about nothing.
We need to enter the home.
We're just old people that don't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm. Have dinner at 4:30.
Okay, let's get to it. See what Michael's got.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
3 of the top 5 NFL franchises with the highest average home attendance in games this season were from below 500 teams. Who are they? Who are those 3 teams, correct, Michael?
Yeah, basically, who are your most loyal fan bases through thick and thin?
Through thick and thin.
Green Bay, Denver.
Okay, hold on. Let's think this through. So Green Bay finished below 500, correct?
Yep.
Lambeau 78,000. Okay, we're going Green Bay. You said Denver, and Denver certainly finished below 500, and their place is 76,000 a game. So we're definitely putting them in there. There's a technicality to who has the highest attendance, who has the highest capacity, because Washington in the Daniel Snyder era has, as a tribute to him, taken a bunch of the seats and put them in a tarp.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about what he's done.
So do numbers get skewed like that? Should the question have been more geared towards basically sold out games?
I don't know. Where did you find this?
Well, I just did my research.
Yeah, well, doesn't seem like they're very forthcoming on that, Watson.
I think I'm trying to figure out, while you're blabbering, I'm trying to figure out who might be the next one.
Buying time.
LA, Detroit. How well's Detroit draw?
That's a 63,000 seat stadium. Probably not.
Probably not
but
them.
The Rams, that's an excellent answer. You want to go with those three? Green Bay, Denver, the Rams?
Yeah, and I think this is off of, because, I mean, everybody could be up there because they do this off of sold tickets. It's not bodies in the stands. And I think that's very misleading a lot of times.
No, I think it's on purpose. I think Michael tries to mislead.
That's the way it works. They don't do it off of what comes through a turnstile. They do it off of sold tickets, and that's a different world to me.
Let's see if our threesome is correct.
You're 2 of 3. You're 2 of 3.
The Jets. Ugh.
That's
because it's about a 77,000 seat stadium.
How do you know these fan attendance averages?
I keep up.
It's impressive.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you.
George keeps up.
Tell you who else keeps up.
Mr. Daunic.
The 2023 Tennessee Sportscaster of the Year. Would all of you welcome the bearded Willy Daunic? What's going on? Can he hear us? Can we hear him?
There may be a little delay on Willie's end right now, George.
Canadian delay? Willie, let's try this again. How are you?
I'm hearing you guys fine. Am I coming through okay?
You're coming through good.
Okay, good.
How did you find out about this?
I got a call while we were starting this 5-game road trip. We were in Washington, D.C., and I got a call from Dave Gorin, who is from the Wake Forest area. It's Winston-Salem is where he is based out of, and he was the one that informed me that it happened. I knew I had been nominated, I guess, a few weeks ago. They put that out there. I didn't get a call from anybody on that. I just happened to see it on social media. I think it was the final 10. And so it was really cool to get that call and get some news like this. It's always nice to be recognized.
For me, the Hall of Fame thing, it brought just a flood of memories that day. Did it do the same for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I thought back, first of all, to share it with Pete, that was the first thing they told me. I was sharing the award with Pete Weber. And so I thought that was pretty cool, especially with the health issues that Pete's fighting through right now. We hope he's on the other side of it, and we'll be back on the mic very, very soon. But I thought of you, and, you go full circle. He mentioned Wes Durham is a good friend of his, and Wes is involved in this organization. And all the names that they throw out there, some of the biggest names in the business, a couple of them they're honoring this year. I know Lee Corso is getting, I think, a lifetime achievement Hall of Fame kind of recognition in this year's ceremony later this year. Ian Eagle, I think, was one of the national guys of the year. Bill Plaschke, I think, from the sports writers end. So it really hits you, like you at first you're like, oh, that's nice. But then you start really thinking about the history and the depth of it. It's a good feeling. Oh man, look at that picture.
Oh God, look at that. Watson, look at that.
Look at young Willie.
What comes to mind when you see that? I would love to hear that from both you guys. Billy and I found that today, and we wanted to ask you.
Oh my God.
Well, that is, in fact, Dave Gorin was the sideline announcer for Wake Forest for a number of years. I think he still does it. And so I was hearkening back to the mid-'90s So I was the sideline announcer, and George, and you see John Gromos, a very young-looking John Gromos, on the
Just
right,
towering over you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he looks like he's about 6'11" in that picture. He's not quite that tall, but he is a tall guy. But man, I do remember this. And next time I see Bob Horner, which I think will be Saturday, when our next home game happens, I remember that first year, George. One of my things was to do the halftime highlights, and I remember one time, I can't remember where we were. I think it might have been North Texas or something like that. I just bungled everything. I was way off. I got rattled. I remember Bob's got that deep voice. And so you would set up the highlight, and then the radio call, your call would play of the highlight. And I remember I hit the highlight, and I'm thinking to myself, I just botched that. That was terrible. And I hear Bob's voice go, Willie, calm down. It's okay. Slow down. You'll be all right. I was like, man, I've come a long way since those days. That's for sure.
Watson, what do you think when you see that picture?
Oh, well, I go back with all those faces, so that's pretty neat. Willie, congratulations. I mean, names you just read, being in that group, I think the world of Wes Durham. Just think the world of him. And just those names you read, and that's tall cotton. And you're not getting enough credit, if you ask me. That's fantastic, and a well-earned award. You've worked your way through this profession. These young guys that are wanting to go in this profession need to follow you a little bit and look at how you went about it and how hard it was, how many jobs you did behind the scenes, and not just put your pretty face on TV or the radio and speak. There's a lot more to it, and I know you know that. And just congratulations. It really, when I heard you name names, you're in tall cotton, my man. Congratulations.
Well, I thank you, Coach. And that's Watson. When I was in school, you were the coach, and I was watching. And then as we got a little bit older, you start thinking about what you want to do. I wanted to play, obviously, as long as I could. But, guys like George and Wes in particular, I got Coach Fowler to let me go up to the press box and just keep some stats and do whatever I could to help the broadcast. And that's where I met a lot of those guys. So you need people that will introduce you to people and give you a shot. And, the reason I'm in that picture is George, a couple years after that, went to bat for me and said, I think this guy's ready. He's a Vanderbilt grad. He works on the show. He can get the job done. So, you need people to open doors for you. And so, yeah, I'm really thankful that, you have to have hopefully what it takes to make the most of the opportunity, but you got to have some people give you some breaks. And so I'm really thankful for all the people, especially George, that opened up some of those doors for me.
Yeah, and I agree. You got to have that, and George was the one that helped you big with that. But at the same time, you got to step in that door, Willie, and go to work, man. I've always said it's one thing to get in the door. It takes somebody to get you in the door usually, but to stay in there, you got to work your fanny off, and you've done that, and it's neat that George gave you that shot. It's really neat that you have done what you've done, and not to overdo it, but just congratulations. A lot of people can learn from you, because I've watched through the years and listened through George and all of that, and I work. Nothing overtakes hard work and dirty work. You're willing to do anything to get the job done. So congratulations. A lot of people can learn from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's go back to the picture for a second.
It's a great picture.
Willie, what happened to the hair?
You knew that was coming, Willie.
It's called Gene Poole, is a good friend of mine. And in
Right.
the Gene Poole in the hair department, I came up a little bit short. I blamed my dad a little bit. I remember one time I was getting checked out by a doctor for something else. And I think I was in there with my dad, and one of us said something like, hey, what do you think? Is this hair thinning out a little bit here? Is there anything you can do about it? And the doctor said, yeah, I know what you could do about it. Punch your father.
Wow. How'd Joel feel about that?
He was all right. He started laughing.
Yeah.
It's funny. Chris Mason and I, we kind of take pride in it. We call ourselves the most follically challenged announcer duo in the NHL. I don't think anybody can beat us. That's for sure.
So Michael has finally moved to Arlington, from Arlington, Willie, after 17 years of college football. And can you see him in the picture?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have questions for Willie?
I do. Yeah. First off, Willie, big congratulations. It's been really cool. We haven't gotten a lot of time. I feel like I've seen you at Preds games here and there when I've been with George, but George has obviously spoken so highly of you. So big congratulations. I guess for just a question for you, if you were to even, obviously you have, so much more to go, but if you were to even look back just on your careers up to this point, what do you feel like, were there any moments that were just some refining moments, might not have been big moments, but refining moments that, was a huge learning lesson at this point in your career, huge learning lesson at that point, might have been with George, maybe not, but I would just love to hear if you've got any stories of just kind of along the way, some big moments that you feel like were probably pretty big and getting you to where you're at now.
Well, I think the way I would answer that is, I think what you first have to learn, and it's interesting we're having this conversation. Right now we just mentioned Pete Weber is on the mend, and we got our fingers crossed that I know he wants to get back there as soon as possible to get back on the mic, and it won't be long. But the guy that's filling in for him is a guy named Max Hers, and I'm watching him develop right now too, and he's doing a really good job. So I've been thinking about this kind of stuff, Michael, that you're asking, but I think the first thing you have to sort of realize is how much you don't know, right? You have to practice, and you have to start being honest with yourself. You need to have a little bit of cockiness. Yeah, I can do this. I know I can do this. But you also have to, at the same time, say, all right, I might be good, but there's a lot of things that I need to get better at. You got to listen to yourself back. You got to get honest feedback from people who are more experienced than you. And that's where George was good. He and I could sit in a room. I might have just done I remember doing Coach Mike Petroni's Cumberland games, right? I did a couple of those games. I would bring the tape back to George.
Wow.
I roped Kevin Anglin into driving out. I don't know where we went to, some of those schools in that league, Berry College or Lee College, some of these places they would drive a couple hours, Freed Hardeman, something like that. And we would do the game, but I would bring the tape back to George, and he would sit there and listen to it with me. He would take the time to do it and say, all right, here's a couple of things. This sounds really good, but over here's a couple other things that we need. I need location of the ball, or, when the free throw's here, I need to know right away. When is he shooting the free throw? You can't come back, little things like that. And hopefully I was absorbing some things, and, you get feedback from other people. And you're always trying. And I remember West Durham. I took a high school game of my brothers to him, and this was after I took a high school game of my brothers to you, George, a couple of months before that. And the thing that Wes said was, "Look, you're on your way. You got a feel for this, but if you start to think that you're good, you're not. Believe me." He said, "I'm getting better." Right. And his point was, everybody can do this a little bit, right? But you have to keep improving. It's like anything else, trying to get through minor league baseball or trying to get, a scholarship to be a quarterback for the SEC. You realize there's a lot of good announcers out there, right? And what can you do to separate yourself?
Well, if you want to be a sportscaster of the year, you'll get a win tonight in Montreal.
Well, this is an important game. Last night they lost a tough one. I think they played well, but lost. They've had a really good road trip, but this is a mark of a good team, right? You're looking for signs that this is a good team that's underachieved a little bit, but this is a good test. Can you bounce back against a lesser team, the night after you lose a tough one?
Hey, first of all, thank you for taking the time to come on, Willie. Obviously, this one strikes pretty close to home. I'm incredibly proud of you, proud for you. Hope you have as much fun over the next few months enjoying the fruits of the labors as I did last year. So go knock them dead.
All right. Sounds good. And I'm glad you didn't bring up our underdog results. I'm sure that's coming in another time because
another week or two. I don't.
That.
I'm hesitating to declare a winner, partly because I haven't checked. But the fact that I haven't checked kind of tells me, George, it's probably not you.
Well, let us know. I started the bowl picks in last place, and I didn't win any of the three. And Watson, I was so disappointed for North Carolina because they played such a great game. That might have put me out of the cellar. That one right there. So I was watching intently to the very, very end there. They almost had it, but I know that I finished fourth in a pool of four. That's not good.
No.
So hey, it ain't so bad, Willie. It ain't so bad, babe. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Willie, go have a good game tonight. Appreciate you doing this.
Talk to you again soon.
Tennessee Sportscaster of the Year. It has a nice ring to it. Willy Daunic joining us from Montreal. After the break, we'll get into a little NFL playoff talk. Stick around. This is the George Plaster Show.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
By the way, in defeat last night, the Preds played pretty darn well. They were not very lucky. They got a 4-minute penalty with about 4.5 minutes left, and Toronto finally scored in the final minute of regulation. That makes tonight a little bit bigger in Montreal. That's a game they ought to win, but that comes under the category of coulda, shoulda, woulda. You got to do it. And if they're able to do it, it's a 4-1 road trip. And Watson, you take 4-1 on that journey any day of the week.
And Watson decided to leave.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think it's probably for the better. He'll be back though.
Okay.
Watson had enough of us. But no, but yeah,
have
8 points and 5 games on the road. And those teams weren't, outside of Montreal, there's some good teams.
Carolina, Washington, Ottawa.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
And even last night, what you were saying, the quality of play was so much better. It's a backbreaker to lose those games. We were talking, that's kind of how the NHL works sometimes, is you play really well and come up with nothing. But even just to see the quality of play, really on the power play too last night, they played so much better outside of those last 4 minutes. They were kind of gassed, but man, they played so much better just in the power play defensively last night. And yeah, it was impressive.
They need to win tonight.
They do.
So, Watson, are you ready for the NFL playoffs?
Ready.
What game do you feel? Well, okay, let me go a different route on this. Baltimore's being really hush-hush. You know, for a couple of weeks, Harbaugh looked like he was really exasperated anytime the Lamar Jackson discussion came up. And then all of a sudden on Monday, we got this, nobody has worked harder to get back than Lamar Jackson. First of all, do you think he's playing in this game?
I have nothing to think about because they're not saying anything, but my intuition is no. And there's two reasons for that. He's got to get a contract signed. He goes back out there and hurts himself again in this game. He's nuts. I'll just be very honest with you. He's nuts. And if they're going to re-sign him, I would not put him back out there. If it's Tom Brady, I could see him playing. This guy plays with his legs first and his arms second. And I just can't see him going with a bad knee, not practiced in 5 weeks, as many times as he carries a football in a game, moves around in the pocket and throws probably half of his drop back passes or scrambles. I just can't. My intuition tells me there's no way he plays in this game. And if I'm the Ravens or I'm Lamar and I'm not 100% well, I just don't put him out there.
Okay, so let me try it this way. When you watch this story, who is to blame?
The injury.
No, I mean as far as the whole money stuff.
Well, it's got to be on Lamar. Lamar to me.
I think we lost Watson one more time.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
We did lose him.
Lamar is represented by himself, correct?
Yes, and that's a huge. Am I on here?
Yeah.
Yes, you are, George.
Well, doesn't sound like it.
You're on.
Coming through loud and clear for me.
I'm just saying. Okay, now it sounds like
it. Sorry, guys. We're having awful weather up here. We're having hail and high winds, and so we're getting it really good. So I may go back out again, but to me, it's on Lamar. Lamar just decided I'm going to go without and see if I can make it better for myself down the road. He could have signed. When you start getting up into that kind of money and number of years, you're talking little bitty things. And I go back to, I don't understand. I don't understand Dansby Swanson. I don't understand Freddie Freeman. I don't get these kind of deals. And if you really want to be at a place, to me, you sign. If he doesn't want to be there, then you look at the other pieces. And it's telling me he decided he kind of want to look at the other pieces, or he would have signed the thing. So, I put it on Lamar, George, 100%. I think what I saw the Ravens offered was a very, very solid offer.
Yeah, it wasn't anything to sneeze at. Michael was asking me when we lost you, Watson, what did I think of the fact that he is representing himself? That's red flag number one. No doubt. When you're dealing in the hundreds of millions of dollars and you're worried about the 3% you're going to pay an agent, and that's a deck chair off the Queen Mary.
No doubt. And I'm guessing, Watson, you were talking about when you start getting up in those numbers, it's got to be less about, 200 million is so much greater than 180, whatever the number is, versus you look at, okay, which quarterbacks now are making more money than me? It's got to become an ego thing, right? I mean, in all of this, it's when you see the contract you sign, you're basically not even looking at the numbers as much as you are all the guys, all the quarterbacks that will be making more money than you and who will be making less. Do you think I'm off on that? Because it can't be, he can't be looking at whatever they offered and say that's not a lot of money.
I don't. You'll learn me. I don't take shots at guys like that. I think that there's reasons people do things in their lives, and this could very well be that, but I'm not going to say it's that because I just don't think that's fair. He could also be looking, what's a better place for me to play? Who might use me better? And he just wanted to get to free agency. The second thing to me is I've never been represented by an agent in my life, so it's a little hard for me to take shots at him for not doing that. I haven't ever made any $200 million, but I always did my own all the way through. If I did it again, I probably wouldn't. But I can't sit here and get on him for doing that when I've took 6 head jobs and never had an agent represent me on any of those jobs. So I think Lamar Jackson is a good kid and a good player. And I think what he's after is, this is it for me. I just want to make sure I'm at the right place. And I'm not sure he thinks, or I think he would have signed. I think it's more business with him. I think he's saying, should I just test the waters? And is there better places for me to play that might use me better, or maybe not use me as much, guys, in carrying the ball? He might be sitting there saying, I can pass the football with a lot of these guys. I don't want to run it this much. And maybe there's a better place for me to go. I don't know. You'll learn, Michael, I throw things out there. George knows me well. And very seldom do you get me taking shots at people. I may take shots at philosophies, but I don't take many shots at people. So I hope it's not ego with him. I would be very disappointed if that's what it is.
Absolutely. And yeah, I didn't even want you to in that position, just trying to understand when you get in these numbers that are so ludicrous. I obviously can't understand, this is money that, I have no idea what. I'm just trying to understand, get in the mind of the player. Is it more about that dollar amount, or is it, I know I'm better than this guy, I should be making more. I have no idea.
Yeah, but hold on, Michael. Here's the problem in this particular deal. Okay, Lamar Jackson wants to be an NFL quarterback, and he's a pretty darn good one. But if you're going with Lamar Jackson, and he's got to be smart enough to realize this, you basically are taking everything you do and wrapping it around him.
No question.
Well, he's got to realize that. Now, he's got Baltimore right now in a real pickle.
Yeah.
Because they have, I guess you would say in good faith, they have taken their entire offense and geared it toward him the way virtually no other NFL team has.
They have, and credit, just from an offensive scheme standpoint, credit to the Ravens for that, because they have not tried to force Lamar Jackson to be a player that he's not. I mean, they really, their entire running game, their running philosophy is shaped off of him. They've went and got Mark Andrews. I think that was right around the time they got
great
Jackson,
tight end,
who's incredible talent, and that's exactly the type of body that you want to be throwing to if you've got a Lamar Jackson at quarterback. So credit to them for sure. You're exactly right. It's not just a commitment to sign Lamar Jackson. You're committing to a way and a style, a philosophy of playing.
So Watson, wouldn't an agent be helpful in explaining to him that, hey, look, number one, Baltimore has given in to everything around you is for you and because of you. And unlike other quarterbacks in the league, that's the only way he can make this work.
I don't know that he feels that way. I don't think you caught what I said. I don't think he thinks that he may feel like they try to make him do more than he needs to be doing. And that he doesn't need to carry it 12. I think I saw where he averages 12 call carries a game. And he ends up averaging 15 with 3 more carries on scrambles. And I think he thinks he is a much better passer than he is being given credit for. And I think that this deal, the Ravens are sitting a lot better than he is. With that injury, that could knock his status down with even the Ravens and whoever when he becomes a free agent here. So I think he's hurt himself. And I don't think the Ravens had any choice. They get all the way into camp. What are they going to do? Say, well, we don't want you if you don't sign. Well, they're going to try to – they got a good quarterback. They're not going to just get rid of him and use somebody else. So the Ravens, to me, are the ones that have come out of this better than probably Lamar, because I'm not sure Lamar will get what he even had. And it'll be interesting to see what the Ravens think. He's had a few years now. He's starting to get hurt. Now, after this big injury, and this is a pretty good injury he had with this knee, what are they going to think? I think Lamar's the one in the tougher spot right now, to me, than even the Ravens are.
Because
there are a lot of free agents out there. The Ravens could let him go, guys, as soon as this season's over. They could go get another one and head in a total different direction. So it's going to be interesting to watch this one play out, to see what the Ravens think and see what Lamar thinks. But there's no doubt when you hold out and then you have a major injury and don't finish the year, it really hurts the player, to me, more than the other. And yeah, I agree with you, George. He could have an agent put more things maybe in his head than he puts himself to think about, but you can also get bad agents. And I've seen a bunch of these guys. Matter of fact, I would say over 50% of all the kids I've coached that have gone to the NFL, over 50% of them have come to me and said, boy, did I get taken. Did I get taken by my agent? So, those agent things work both ways too.
No doubt about it. One more thing, just before we move on from that game, quickly on Cincinnati. Do you guys think that they are the best top to bottom roster? I mean, they, were left in the playoffs really, and the entire NFL. I mean, they have got weapons on offense: T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. Their defense is good. I mean, they're legit. Do you guys think they're the best top to bottom team, in the NFL?
I don't think there is a best. I think there's about 5 that I would put all in a pile, and to pick one of those out of those 5, I don't know that I could do that. The Eagles, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals. Everybody else is below them, in my opinion. And I'm anxious to see it play out. The one thing that the Bengals, I think, have over the Chiefs and the Bills is a physicality that they can play with as they pass the ball. I think they're a better physical team than those two. Not sure I can say that about the Eagles or the 49ers, though. I think both of those are very physical teams. But I can't say one of those 5 is better. I'd hate to have to bet my life on which one of those comes out and wins the Super Bowl.
Right.
Okay. Excuse me. Here's one of the things that has to be thought about. Cincinnati is going to be the 3 seed. Let's say they beat Baltimore. If they have to beat both Buffalo and Kansas City in back-to-back weeks, man, that is going to be a lot to ask.
It's the same thing for Buffalo too.
Could be.
Right. Having to beat Cincinnati and then Kansas City.
But that's the advantage that the 1 seed should have, is that they don't have to play both of them to get there. I'm just saying, look, Cincinnati may be just like they were a year ago. They may rise up and just run through the whole thing.
Right.
But if they've got to go at Buffalo, was the last one a neutral site?
Yeah, it's Atlanta. They could be playing. They'll be in a neutral site. That's what the Bengals were so upset about, and I understood.
Yeah. Right, and I think
they got bumped to they didn't get the advantage of having a chance to get the home field advantage.
Right.
And I think that's big, because you look at, their path. If Buffalo was to beat Cincinnati in, the DeMar Hamlin game, Buffalo is the 1 seed. You would much rather have that game at home as opposed to playing in Buffalo. Now it's a neutral site. or vice versa. So I think that
I personally don't think Buffalo was beating Cincinnati that night. I don't think they were winning that game. Cincinnati was physical in that game early, went right down the field running and passing. I just think that night in Cincinnati, I don't think Buffalo gets out of there alive.
It's amazing, too, when you look at – we haven't even talked about the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Jags. And if you've got all three of their quarterbacks healthy and you were to stick them over on the NFC, they might be the best quarterback on that side. I mean, you got an argument. There. It's Jalen Hurts, I guess. Gosh,
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy, Dak, Kirk Cousins.
Daniel Jones.
If you stick any of those three teams,
you kind of forgot the GOAT there, babe.
You're right.
That guy's pretty good.
Outside of the GOAT.
It was the Cowboy fan in it.
I don't count the GOAT out of this just yet. They're not the best team, but they got the best quarterback.
Watson, I'm counting on the Cowboys to take care of them, which means I'll probably be let down, which is great.
Michael, what the Cowboys showed the other day, there's something missing.
No doubt.
There's something missing, man. They're just too inconsistent. They may beat them. They're not consistent enough to make a run. I just don't think. I hope they do, because man, do they catch a lot of grief. But I don't think they're consistent enough to do it.
Did you see what Jerry said the other day? I mean, I don't know how about Mike McCarthy, even if he gets beat.
Yeah, so what he said. I told George. I said that's a kiss of death.
Yeah,
that's a kiss of death. I said as soon as he said it to George, I said, George, that's a kiss of death right there. He's my guy no matter what happens this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
A couple of Merlots in that suite after the game might change all that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, we'll go to the break on this, and here's the understatement of the week. I need a win, and I need it now. Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. And their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. Final segment here on this Thursday afternoon. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day. It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers that you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000. That's 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night. Let's see if you got a much-needed win last night, George. And the Huskies lost. And that's 3 in a row now. And George has tape over his mouth at the moment.
Watson, it's been a bad week.
It's
Watson,
been bloody.
What has gone on, Watson?
You know me. Those rats start jumping off that ship, man, when it gets a little bit below that 500 mark. Better watch the rats, George. They're the first to go. Once all the rats are gone, then a lot of other people start jumping that ship.
You appear to be the lead rat.
I've been the lead rat before, haven't I?
So we've taken on water this week. And
that's an understatement.
Right. One of the things you have to do is whatever your first inclination is, you need to stick with it. If you think Georgia's going to win, don't let a retired football coach talk you out of it.
That is so wrong.
Don't you go there, George.
Put one of your that
you
is
can't
so
go
wrong.
there.
Watson, there's 100 other losses that speak for itself.
I'm the idiot. I'm the idiot that jumped in the middle of that. So I'll take that one because I knew where that one was coming back to if he lost. And I knew it wouldn't go away in one pick. You'd keep hearing it for a while. So
well, it would help.
That one's on me.
It would help if I would win a game sometime between that and
yeah, I'm pulling hard for you because I'm getting kind of tired of listening to you get on me.
So here we go. We're going out to the Pac-12 for this one. In total desperation, I'm going to take USC at home -3.5 against Colorado. Now, here's the part that is a little befuddling. I haven't seen Colorado in person. They're apparently quite a bit better.
They're not bad.
You got to stay up till 1:30 to watch them.
Well, that's part of the problem. Yeah. But I need a win bad enough. This may well happen.
You might be willing to drink some caffeine at 10 for tip-off.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Watson, we're going with the Trojans.
Give me your piece of tape. I'm not saying a word.
Really?
Yeah, I'll bring me a piece of tape the next time, and I'll just tape my lips together.
You know, I'm sorry you won't be on with us tomorrow because I'm going to reveal.
You miss me every Friday, don't you, baby?
I do. Yeah. I'm going to reveal. I think I'm going to pick all 5 or 6 of the playoff games in the NFL tomorrow.
I like it.
My feeling is I'm bound to hit 1 or 2 of them.
We might as well just start flipping a coin.
Well, I've got some thoughts.
Okay.
I'm feeling good. Watson, great having you on as always. See you on Monday. Have a good weekend.
You guys have fun. See ya.
See ya, Watson.
We're done for today. Tomorrow, don't be surprised if Herm Edwards joins us. Mark Griffin as well. He'll be at the Tennessee-Kentucky game Saturday at Thompson Bowling. The Vols are out for blood. You can bet on that. See you tomorrow.